right, with all that organic existence which has come before it and perished into the earth. So the plant life depends on soil, you know, decaying life, but it also depends on the sun. And there's an ecological circuit that extends, far beyond just the surface of the biosphere, or even the atmosphere of the biosphere. This ecology extends all the way to the sun, and ultimately we are inside of that living cell called the solar system, whose outer membrane, extends, basically to the orbit of Neptune or further, where there's a heliopause, right? The solar wind and the magnetic field of the sun is overpowered at this particular place, this edge of the solar system. It's overpowered by the galactic energies, the ambient electromagnetic flows of energy in our local galactic environment. So whatever Earth life is, right, it's inside of this larger thing, this larger organic cellular metabolism, whose outer boundaries extend, and of course the sun, our whole solar system, is inside the even larger organism, the galaxy, the Milky Way. And it does seem, at least as far as we can see in either direction, that we're dealing with an ecological event. So the energy event that we call the universe, 13.8 billion years, is also an evolution of species, right? Of protonic and electronic and photonic species initially that formed an early truce of sorts, entering, really merging with one another to form atoms, hydrogen and helium, and those formed giant clouds that condensed into stars and galaxies, which were huge at first. And stars had a very they were huge, and so their life was very short because their gravitational force was so powerful that it burned up the hydrogen so quickly. So the stars exploded and created heavier elements in the process, which then seeded planets of various sorts and the new stars that ignited, who were, which were smaller and burned longer. One of those was our sun, and then on this particular planet, blessed with hydrogen and oxygen, and with the temperature gradient, which has been sustained by really bacteria and plants for 4 billion years, who altered the atmosphere to sort of refract the incoming energy from the sun. Life on our planet has blossomed forth due to the call of the sun, which each day, rains down upon it, in such a way that, nothing is required in return. Like, the plant can't possibly pay the sun back, for the energy that the sun has gifted it. There is no possible way, no matter how much work it does in terms of energy, metabolism, in terms of gradient breakdown, the plant is never going to be able to repay that debt, because it isn't actually a debt. The sun doesn't expect to be paid, because the sun is burning itself up, sacrificing itself, killing itself so that its blood can feed the green plant life that photosynthesizes for us here back on Earth. And we in the human economy, we think we have power plants that supply us with energy that's just created there out of nowhere, right? But humans don't create any of that, right? Because really the true power plants of this planet are the plants. They're the ones that introduce energy into the biosphere. They're the ones that feed the food. They're the root source of all the food that feeds you know the entire trophic, all the kingdoms of nature. So we animals depend on the plants. Um, the energy of our lives is received from the sun only through those plants. And without them, none of our activities, none of our economy, none of our technology will run. So we're really dependent, right, on the economy. As individuals, we're dependent on the economy because we need money in order to survive, to pay rent, to eat food. We need to earn money, which for most of us means we have to have a job. If you're really rich, then you don't have to earn your money, because you don't have to earn it because you own it. You actually own your money. Everybody else has to borrow their money. Right? Even governments now have to borrow their money from banks. It's a very strange, if we were to analogize money to energy, when this is only an analogy, right? Because money is symbolic, energy is physical, right? It's real. But if we were to just analogize it and see what happens, if we say money is a kind of energy, then wow, it seems like a very, very, very small group of individuals are somehow the source of all this energy, that billions of people around the planet sort of have to lap up from a shallow pool at the feet, a shallow pool of leftovers, leftover currency, accidentally that happen to fall off the tables of this rich owner class that's eating a 5-course meal above us. But in terms of Burning Man, where this festival fits in all of this, which seems both anti-capitalist and anti-corporate and anti-private and all of that, but at the same time, and pro-gift. It's a gift economy, right? But at the same time, the Burning Man festival, in terms of material and culture, can only exist in the context of the surplus generated by a capitalist economy. It's no mistake that Silicon Valley is such a central, integral part of at least the later expansion of the Burning Man festival. I think originally Burning Man had more to do with sort of absurdist theater, and the desire to kind of hack everyday experience on the streets of America to bring forth a kind of alternative reality that then restructures a person's relationship and a community's relationship to capital and to the material exchanges that we engage in as members of society. As an attempt to clue us into what it would mean to live without money, at least for a week in the desert. But the only way we can all get out there to the desert with all the stuff that we give away to one another once we get there is because we have well-paying jobs, or our students back here at home in the default world. So that's a contradiction that I struggle with, and I think I wanted to introduce it as a problem that I struggle with and encounter, while I prepare and when I attend Burning Man. I do attend because I think something significant and the transformative is taking place there. There's a kind of ecstasy that is generated in this temporary autonomous zone out there in the desert. It's almost like we're kind of creating, if not a crop circle, at least some kind of a landing pad for an extraterrestrial, or at least extra-dimensional entity. We're trying to welcome a new form of life onto the earth, so we go and we dance under the sun and reflect light at night back up to the sky as if we were the sun and the stars above. We imitate. Burning Man is, it's all creative imitation, I think, artistically speaking. But anyways, thanks for wandering in the darkness out here through these maybe rather occult thoughts. Take it easy.